Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Emilio is Dead, episode 3. I am your host, Rothschild, and with me as always is Deke Dirksen. Dirksen, am I pronouncing that correctly, sir?
It's Deke Slenson, but close enough.
I will forget that again. So yeah, as I was saying, Duke, before Kenan Thompson, that whole era of Sandberg, Hader, it was a strong era. I don't know,
I'll just go on record right here and saying, while SNL might have created a couple of decent comedians over the years, the actual content that they put out on the show is generally subpar at best.
It is.
Just fuck that show as a whole. It is overrated as hell.
No, I can't say that. Yeah, sketch comedy in by nature is hit or miss. There are very few sketch shows. Name a sketch comedy show that's perfect or that is consistent.
Zero. I would name zero that are even good. I'm not a fan of sketch. I liked it when I was 8, and then I grew up. I don't like sketches.
No, I think it's a great format. But like I said, maybe Chappelle's Show, and that lasted 2 seasons. Like
the canned laughter kills it. Whenever there's canned laughter on something, it kills it, unless it is used as a joke, like on Holliston. If it's obviously faked, piped-in canned laughter used for a joke, it's okay. But when there's an actual audience sitting there and they're overreacting to everything when a sign tells them to, I don't want to watch that show.
I don't know why that's never bothered me. I think I'm just a child of the 80s. I've always heard people say this, like it ruins the comedy of sitcoms. And to me, it's
like you with modern films. They're explaining to you when to laugh. Oh, you laugh here. If you watch any one of these shows without the laugh tracks, it's just assholes acting stupid for no reason and then looking deadpan into the camera for 5 minutes.
Oh, no, I totally get it. And when it's that obvious, like I'm not talking about Full House or like woo or some shit. Like you got it, dude. And I'm like, it's an insane reaction. It doesn't match the joke. But I'm saying when it's just background noise, kind of, and I get it is. It's there for audible cues for people watching at home. Hey, this is the joke. I don't know why. Again, probably because I just grew up with it. It doesn't offend me as much as I've heard other people say.
I mean, I grew up watching Mad TV and shit, but I tried to revisit it, and
Mad TV.
There's a reason I outgrew that shit.
No, but I'd say
how often do you go back and revisit any of these SNL sketches?
The sketches, enough. No, enough. Actually, it's actually funny you say that. Last night I watched Lonely Island, Jack Sparrow.
The Lonely Island videos were separate. They were made as viral videos on their own.
They were SNL digital shorts.
Yeah, but they were
premiered on
music
SNL.
Videos without a laugh track on the internet on their own, so they don't really count.
Oh yeah, and they utilize. I mean, that was like YouTube. Wasn't Dick in a Box like the highest watched video on YouTube for a while? Because it like correlated.
I have no idea, but I know that's literally how Sandberg got the job on SNL was through Lonely Island. I forget what was their first. One of their first songs or first videos blew up, and that's literally why he was contacted through Lorne to get on the show.
I thought it was through Sandler.
No, I don't think so.
Didn't Sandberg write for him? Like he was like somebody who would do like when Sandler would be on award shows and shit.
I don't care that much about either person to know.
Good. I'm happy to hear you say that about Sandler.
But anyway, enough about this boring-ass sketch comedy bullshit. That's not why the people are tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, today's episode is probably the greatest episode topic that we have had thus far. Today's episode is about the filmography of one Trey Parker. As you likely all know him as the creator of South Park, the greatest American satire running today. But as that's sort of the elephant in the room, we can both agree, brilliant, 20-plus year career for a reason, well-deserved. That'll be about all we actually touch upon the show. We're going to be looking at the man's films instead. And again, not films that he's acted in, only the films that he has himself directed.
And actually, let me point out, these are all your opinions so far. I agree.
You don't agree that South Park is the greatest American satire today?
Today? Probably not. Not as of right now. I haven't been watching it, but
what satire would you say is better?
That's what I don't have an answer, so it could possibly still be.
Well, I mean,
I don't watch
in terms of American satire, you've got like Family Guy, The Daily Show, and what's that? Is Rick and Morty satire, or is that just stupid? I don't know.
Never saw it.
We'll just go ahead and label it fucking stupid.
Out of all the things you just mentioned, definitely better than Family Guy. What was the other one you said?
The Daily Show.
Daily Show with Jon Stewart. I would say
it does not have Jon Stewart on it anymore.
I know. That's why you're today. Yeah, South Park, I guess. But South Park, let's not sit here and pretend it's on some stride right now or has been in recent years. I mean, even without watching it, I don't see it referenced very often as it was. And that's not a slight on South Park. I mean, this show has been on since.
How often do you hang out in YouTube comment sections
that reference new South Park material?
Yes, because I saw at least 3 references to the Integrity Farms yesterday on one video.
I guess we all live in our internet bubbles. How could we off? Well, as somebody who is plugged into that world more than I am, do you disagree? Do you think South Park is on some stride and I'm missing out? Or do you admit that maybe its peak already occurred? Which, again,
the peak popularity... The peak popularity was definitely within the first 3 years, but that's just due to any sort of widespread media attention and coverage.
Not necessarily popularity, but quality.
The quality, I will always maintain that probably seasons 7 through 9 are the greatest in terms of the output of South Park, but I will say they have stepped back up since season 18. 18 was a definite step down. With 20, they brought it back up. Now they're kind of plateauing. Yeah. But we're getting off topic here. We're here to talk about the man.
But let me. I wanted to say it, and let me clear up any confusion. We're talking about a show that has been consistently on the air since 1997. So the fact that we're debating whether or not it has peaked or when it did for a show that's been on that long is incredible. I mean, you can't say that about any show, really.
Also, getting Rothschild to say a show is incredible is also an incredible feat.
It is.
So the show should get double props for that.
No, it is. By me saying I feel like you value or you view Trey Parker with a higher admiration than I do says a lot about you, because I am a big fan and I'm with you. He hasn't made a bad film.
Yeah, I was about to come to that. He is, as far as I can think of, off the top of my head, the only filmmaker who, in my opinion, has never, ever made a bad film. Ever.
And that's
Granted, he quit after making his 4th film, but that might also just make him wiser than the average bear.
I was about to say, that's something I bet if I gave some thought, I could come up with other filmmakers that, that do have maybe not necessarily a flawless filmography, but even Trey Parker, some are better than others. They're all fucking good, but some are better than others.
I could definitely rank them, but it would be a challenge. You could almost not slide a piece of paper.
Do you want to, just to set the tone for our listeners, do you want to do that real quick so they know which movies we're referencing?
We'll save that for the end. I'm going to go through and list each movie in chronological order of them being released, and then when we're done, we can each rank them.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, the first film that Trey Parker made, which was actually a college project that he decided, fuck it, let's just make this a full length, Cannibal the Musical. I've already covered this in a review form on my channel, so why don't you go ahead and give me your thoughts on the movie, and then I'll follow it up with a bit of a rebuttal.
The commentary is hilarious.
The drunken commentary?
Yes.
Is that the one where he goes on about the Leanne chick?
Yeah. His the girl,
the real life,
dating, the real life.
That's the horse is named after.
Yes. Oh yeah. But wasn't in South Park the show? God damn it! I'm going back to the show, but wasn't this girl? Who is she supposed to be in the show? Or am I completely wrong on this?
I have no clue what you're talking about.
In Trey Parker, he had like some ex-girlfriend, and they always used her or her name or something as.
I have no clue where you're going with this. No.
All right,
I'm going to call bullshit.
Back to it may very well be. I can't back that up. Cannibal. I'm not gonna lie to you, Garth. I have not seen it in maybe 15 years.
I think you should revisit it immediately after this podcast.
I remember watching it, and it was more of it was like more of an appreciation than it was. I didn't think it was some perfect film. It was more of like, I see this genius. I see this comedic genius, and it's good. I enjoyed it. I bought it. Like I said, I liked it enough to where I listened to the commentary. So clearly I liked it. But I do remember feeling that sort of, like, this is the introduction, like the best is yet to come kind of feel.
There definitely are some rough edges, but again, it was a college project made by kids in the Colorado wilderness.
And it's incredible knowing that, and that being what it is, of course.
One of the things that has always made the movie for me, which, again, pointing back to our episode about the shocking movie confessions, Trey Parker's musicals are a major exception to the musicals are trash rule. Every single time this dude makes, which I don't know if you know this, he was actually originally in college to be a music, I forget exactly, but he was a music, studying music.
No, I didn't know that. He
switched over to animation midway.
Is that he met Matt Stone there also, didn't he?
In college, yes,
over Monty Python Love? Wasn't that what it started over?
I believe so. I believe it was started out over mutual admiration of Monty, and then I know that the Monty Python animation is directly what inspired the South Park animation. Yeah. The rough cardboard cutouts. But he was a music major, and then he switched over to animation. So that's why he's always had, a firm grasp on music, why he can actually sing and make crafty musical numbers. And
similar
the musical numbers in Cannibal, especially like the Trapper song. Come on, dude.
I remember that.
I can catch a helpless animal, skin it with I can sing fucking like 90% of that movie flawlessly because I've literally just listened to rips of that soundtrack for years.
And that's part of that is part of his genius, similar to what I said about The Exorcist, being that I feel like that film, it took a Catholic to make it. I feel like Trey Parker has such a grasp on not only music but specifically like musicals, specifically Broadway or whatever. And
he is now a Tony Award winner.
Yes, rightfully. And it's unusual to see someone excel at, like, he could do it legit, I'd admit. Like, not that what he does is illegitimate, but he could probably in his sleep write something that would be passable and not parody. You know what I mean? But the fact that he can do that and then has the comedy that's so on point on top of it, I mean, that's no small feat, man.
That it's not.
And as you said, as somebody who, you're not alone. There are many people out there who love his work that I would not consider musical fans. It says a lot. So anyway, what are your thoughts? I assume you're like me and you caught this after South Park happened.
I don't think anyone.
Yeah, did Troma even
before?
Yeah, did Troma release it after South Park debuted? Or
well, actually, there's a bit of an interesting story there. They had seen it and there was interest in it, but Lloyd was like, "Hey, you need some more blood in this." So at the beginning, when Trey's running around chewing everyone's throats out and shit, that was actually reshoots for Troma, because they were like, "Yeah, this is a bit underwhelming on the gore department." So they went back and reshot it. Then when they were about to release it, the Spirit of Christmas short was going around and everyone was going crazy over it.
Yeah.
And Lloyd was trying to get it on the DVD, like, "Hey, let's fucking put that on as a special feature." But then they knew that there was interest in a show, so they were like, "Well, maybe not on the special feature aspect." And then obviously what happened. But yeah. So it I don't know exactly when the DVD came out, but I know that when they were putting it together, Lloyd was aware of South Park, at least in its rough, short form.
But so what did you think of it?
The film?
Yeah, when he caught it after, I'm assuming, being a South Park fan.
It is a solid movie. It also has the origin of the Cartman voice. A random lady in the background does it during a scene.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, if you listen closely, I believe it's right when the lady is walking into the jail cell to talk to Alfred Packer. You just hear a random lady in the background. I don't remember what the line is, but she just very clearly, is a Cartman voice. and it's just Trey dubbing over some lady who was walking by in that scene. But like I said, there's some rough edges. Some of the acting isn't up to par, but wisely, all of the leads are pretty solid. I can't really say anything derogatory about the lead actors, and they were all, I mean, pretty much just college friends. They weren't like experienced actors. They might have been in college for acting or some shit. But
one thing I think Trey Parker utilizes, and he did this. Actually, it's kind of a thing in his career. It's a motif that I think works with acting, especially in an early project like that. Is that there's always a sense of camaraderie. There's always a sense of like they're making themselves laugh. You know what I mean? Like you feel like
I think they kind of had to in this case.
Oh, of course. But I mean, even on the show, even on an animated show, I get that impression that like these are two guys who are like just almost trying to make each other laugh.
Yeah, that they have said in interviews before that is like their main priority when writing.
And it comes across. And like I said, sometimes like let's say on a college, amateur production like Cannibal, some of those rough edges that you speak of and all that almost work in its favor for comedic effect. And if like some acting and stuff like that is shoddier, like I think
all the fake mustaches.
Yeah, it's like they like they're not scared of it. They embrace it rather than try and hide it. You know what I mean?
The Asian guy who's playing an Indian.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
I believe Trey said they got free Japanese takeout for like X amount of time because they cast that guy. He legitimately was the owner of their favorite Japanese or whatever and sort of Asian food restaurant in that area. And yeah, like you were talking about with the camaraderie, I believe they pretty much had to in Cannibal because they were actually out there in the middle of the fucking wilderness. Like in the river crossing scene, they actually crossed the fucking river. They didn't think about like, oh, this is a river and it might sweep us the fuck away.
But if that was just like a factual thing that would equal quality, The Revenant would be a great film because they all suffered through that. And that's what I'm saying. Like it's more than just like they built like it's a chemistry beyond the camaraderie. It's like
The Revenant. They had millions of dollars and like helicopters if something went wrong. And
still,
Cannibal the Musical in 1993, if something went wrong, they're miles from a telephone and shit.
Of course. But still, I mean. Like basically all I'm saying is like while that is impressive bringing up the struggles of it, I think what the chemistry and camaraderie I'm speaking of isn't specifically reliant on the struggles. I just genuinely think that's part of the genius of Trey Parker.
I also think it could just be him not wanting to put up with guys he doesn't like. Yeah, why would he want to cast someone who he doesn't fucking like?
But I mean,
then hang out with them every day for months.
Again, there are movies and pieces of art, that where people work together who do hate each other and all that. And a lot of times, sometimes I shouldn't say a lot, sometimes you can feel it, you know what I mean? And that alone, even if he's just recognizing that and like that helps the comedy, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I think that just about sums up Cannibal the Musical. Moving on to what? You're gonna say?
I was gonna say it's the one that I haven't seen in so long, so it's like I'm the least opinionated on.
I definitely think you should revisit it, especially because I mean, as you've stated numerous times, you are a fan of Trey's comedy, and it's worth it for a revisit, like you said, to see where he started, to see where the roots of the foundation that would become everything you know of the man. It all starts there, unless you want to go even further back and listen to his early comedy songs. But
no,
in terms of the films, this is where it starts.
Yeah.
Moving on to 1997's Orgasmo, which, I mean, come on, man. It's Orgasmo.
I don't want to sound like a queer or nothing, but Orgasmo is a pretty kick-ass film.
Referencing Parker's forte in the music field, did you know that this was originally intended to be a musical as well? But after already having it being a parody, action, Mormon porno.
I was about to say, that's very similar to Book of Mormon then, I'd imagine.
Well, after having, so many different flavors, the financiers were like, no, this movie is already too weird enough. It's not a musical. So he just kind of had to settle on the one song for the opening soundtrack, which I'm going to go ahead on record is my favorite Trey Parker song ever.
Was DVDA in or was the original Now You're a Man? Was that from Orgasmo or am I?
Yeah, that's the song I'm talking about.
Oh,
that is hands down
yeah.
my favorite Trey Parker song of all times.
No, it's probably the titties.
But
yeah, that's a line from the song. That wasn't just me ranting. Aside, I'm with you. It's a classic.
Orgasmo, the production design on it, I've always really liked it, like the super cheapo suit.
Yeah.
But I mean, as in terms of the production on the other aspect, like they were really just in like porn sets with porn actors. So I mean, making it look like they're shooting a porn film, not that hard.
Would
You
you
know what I mean?
think
I
that?
believe they were also using porn cameras. So I mean, like literally, they were just like they went out to a porn set and met with porn stars and like scripted it and
I mean, they're all
scouted shit. They got Ron Jeremy and
Jeremy. I was about to say, there's porn stars in the
Yeah.
movie. Yeah.
But
Plus Squeak.
well, he was in Cannibal.
Yeah. But wait, God. Yeah, it's been a while. I forgot he was in this.
He's been in all their shit.
Jesus. Yeah, I know. Was he in Bigger, Longer, Uncut? Wasn't he the voice of
He's the voice of
Saddam
Satan's Lover.
Yeah.
He's the voice of Satan's Lover. I believe his name's Scott.
Yeah.
I'm wrong, but I think it's Scott.
Scott.
But yeah, even in Orgasmo, all the fucking karate kicks Trey Parker's throwing at the beginning and shit.
Yeah.
Like it's so brilliantly 90s. Remember how everyone in the 90s just knew karate? The Power Rangers came out, then suddenly karate was cool, so you just had like, I don't know. Karate just seemed to be shoved on everyone. You had like Three Ninjas, Surf Ninjas, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all this karate bullshit. So I don't know. It just fit perfectly in that time period, I think. And the look helps with the bright pink suit and shit. Chota Boy with a dildo on his head.
It does look very 90s. What's the story behind that getting made?
What do you mean? Like how they funded it?
Yeah, because I mean, I know it got released with an NC-17, which
Japan funded it. They got Japanese investors after the success of. I want to say it was just based off Cannibal.
I was about to say, I don't think they capitalized on South Park. Really,
South Park. It was the year that South Park debuted, so they really couldn't have. Yeah. But I believe they had also had the hype surrounding the original Spirit of Christmas short. But yeah, they just found some Japanese investors who wanted to make a superhero-ish movie, and they were like, "Here you go."
Yeah, that's smart.
The movie didn't cost much to make. I mean,
it's a special effects extravaganza.
You remember the fucking
all Dick the dildos, yeah,
the Dick Rocket on the string.
Wow, dude, no. I don't even remember.
Man, you need to revisit all of Trey Parker's films immediately.
Hey, I clearly stated in the beginning, I think you are the bigger fan.
You have Orgasmo on Blu-ray?
I have it on DVD.
You need to remedy that. Really,
Wait, I'm looking at my shelf. Oh yeah, I have it on DVD.
It's the exact same release, but the only thing is they put the unrated and the theatrical version on the same side of the disc, so you don't have to flip it if you wanted to switch.
Yeah, it's always. You remember that? Those are the dark days.
Do you remember
accidentally putting on the full screen?
Do you remember your buddy Martin Scorsese's Gangs of New York release where you had to put in disc 2 to finish the fucking movie like it was a VHS of fucking Titanic or some shit?
I've never forgiven him, Garth.
That happened.
I know. And but God damn it. Shit, you think Marvel fanboys are bad? When I popped that Gangs of New York disc in, I was furious.
You couldn't see Leo fucking laying in bed with Cameron Diaz in one sitting, bro.
Yes.
She was the chick in that, right? It was Diaz.
Unfortunately.
All right, anyway. Also, I would recommend Orgasmo for the upgrade because, as we mentioned, the movie looks fantastic and it looks even better on Blu-ray.
It's very colorful.
Yeah, it looks great on Blu-ray. I don't think it's that much. I think I paid $10 for it brand new, and I think that's roughly about what it goes for on Amazon. It's worth it, honestly, dude. But anyway. Orgasmo, solid sophomore effort. As I mentioned, favorite Trey Parker song for me.
I do know every word to that song.
It is a quality song.
So Orgasmo has that going for it. Which that song, I believe, is featured in the next film that you are going to bring up, even though it is not a directorial effort from Trey Parker.
You're referring to 1998's Basketball, which actually that song is not in that movie, but there is
in the background. There's one song in that movie from them where it's from something else. That
I don't know about that, but there is a song where Trey is driving a car and the radio starts singing to him, and that is another one of my hands down favorite Trey Parker songs, even though it's like a 35-second clip. Your life is spinning out of control.
I could have sworn
the whole world is out to get you.
Isn't
this
there
fucking episode is just transformed into us badly singing Trey Parker songs.
I could have sworn, isn't there a part where like he pops in a VHS or something and it's like animals getting hit by cars, and I could have sworn Now You're a Man is playing in that scene. It's in the background in one scene. I'm gonna look this up, man. That's gonna bug me.
I've also seen this movie. I've watched this movie within the last year on Blu-ray, and I don't remember that. And that is something I would remember. But, I mean, it could have just slipped my memory. I do remember Kareem Abdul-Jabbar sitting in a fucking glass case. And then, like, he thinks it's a wax sculpture, Matt Stone, and then he taps on it and he looks over. That's one of the best jokes in that movie, in my opinion. But, yeah, as you mentioned, it is not a Trey Parker film. And Trey has even gotten offended when it's brought up in interviews when talking about his filmography. Like, that's not one of my movies. Because whichever Zucker brother directed it, David or whatever.
Yeah, I'm way off. Our fact checkers just got back to me, and no, it is not featured in Basketball. What am I thinking of? It's another song it was either featured in South Park or something.
It might be from Cannibal. I know they use
Cannibal.
The Doinkle song for the little end jingle in every episode of South Park for like the first 20 seasons. You know, the little dun 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 dun. That's from fucking Cannibal.
Yeah, I did, like, I remember recognizing that in Cannibal. Yeah, dude, I'm a fan of the Abrams Zucker team, even though Basketball isn't all three of them. And they're perfectly capable of shit. The Basketball was released beyond, like, way past their classics. You know,
I would have to say that Basketball is easily their best effort, but
you haven't watched a lot of their stuff.
Yeah, I've seen a good amount of their stuff, and I'm also extremely biased though because of the Trey Parker involvement.
Well, yeah, that's it.
None of their other films
didn't you tell me at one point, because I was shocked because of the Weird Al involvement, that you've never watched the Naked Gun movies?
Yeah, I've seen bits as a child, like on TV in passing, but I was never a big Nielsen fan, so it didn't really appeal.
Weird Al, that's why it stuck. Like, I remember that.
They include the Weird Al scene on. They include the Weird Al scene on the Ultimate Weird Al whatever collection, video collection, and I've had that, so.
But I don't really need to see. There's more than one scene. He's in each Naked Gun movie.
Well, I mean, there's YouTube. I might look it up later, but
true.
I don't need to sit through. 4 hours of Leslie Nielsen to see 8 minutes. But I've seen like Airplane and shit.
Yeah, Airplane's better than Basketball easily.
You see, I disagree.
I don't. I said I don't. Like, I don't disagree with me, Garth. The bold stance. No, yeah, and the original Naked Gun I would put above it. It's probably on par with Top Secret for me, and Naked Gun 2 probably on par. It's better than Naked Gun 3, but actually Naked Gun 3 was Peter Segal.
How does it stack up against Ghost?
It's better than it's better than Ghost. I enjoy it more than Ghost.
I'll agree with you there.
But I don't know. I'd have to maybe rewatch Ghost. There's a part of me that wants to say Ghost may be like the better film. But
I don't know about that.
But my personal opinion. Yeah, I don't know either. I'd have to rewatch it. But my personal opinion is if you give me an option, Russ, do you want to watch Ghost or Basketball? I'm not saying Ghost.
Well, that's enough about 1998's Basketball. Let's move on to 1999's South Park Bigger, Longer, Uncut.
I never saw it.
Do you know the title is actually a troll on the MPAA? Originally, I forget what the original title was, but it was something, it had like hell in the title or something, and they were hitting them with like, you won't be able to advertise or some shit.
Yeah,
so literally they made a dick joke with the title, and they were just like, that's acceptable.
This is, I'm sure the MPAA came down hard on that.
On the movie?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. What is there anything that's like substantially that was cut or had to be altered or?
I don't really recall offhand them mentioning it too much, but I know they had like massive. Mostly what they talked about is the drastic difference between how the MPA handled them on Orgasmo compared to how they handled them on South Park. Because when they were on Orgasmo, it was an independent production where it was just them, and they were hit with the NC-17, and the MPAA was just like, you need to change some shit. And they were like, well, what do we need to change? And they were like, we can't tell you that. And then when they were doing South Park, they were like, you need to change some shit. Here's a detailed list of everything that you can possibly change to get your R.
Oh, dude, South Park was a product at that point. That was
it was a
99.
Paramount production.
Yeah, that was.
So that's mostly what they go into on like the commentary and shit about it. Where I don't really remember too many like specific things they go into. I don't even think
Did they do a feature length commentary for it?
They did. That is why you also need to pick up that Blu-ray, sir.
I did actually.
They went back and did a commentary just for the Blu-ray, and it was done in like 2016-ish.
I was about to say, I think that's why I bought it, but I never watched it.
It's worth a watch.
I think I bought it because of that commentary, and then I forgot and just figured I upgraded because it was cheap. I do remember I did buy it pretty cheap.
They also tell a story of how Matt Stone almost got arrested for stealing the print to the trailer. Or no, it wasn't a trailer, it was for a music video, I believe.
I've heard.
Originally, the studio wanted to put out some Kid Rock song for the official music video for it, and they were just like, no.
Yes.
And they were like, they were going with Brian Boitano. Do you remember that? Their punk rock version of what would Brian Boitano do?
Soundtrack.
They made a video. They made a video. Yeah, they made it that, and it's on the soundtrack. But they made a video with one of their friends doing like a Lord of the Rings style or Lord of the Dance style, like dancing. He's dressed up like that guy dancing around with guy liner on and shit.
I know this.
And they were like, we're using that as the official video. And then they also had, I don't remember if it was the video or if it was the trailer, because they also cut like some typical like coming soon, you know, kind of like goofy, wacky trailer. And they were like, no. They wanted their trailer to be like super serious, where it was like biblical text. And
do you remember the teaser?
Is that what I'm talking about here with the like biblical text and like?
You just heard like Cartman or something say something.
I don't remember that.
There was, I mean, I vaguely remember this. It could be another one of my famous total fucking falsehoods. I vaguely remember, like, because I was a teenager when this came out, there was like a teaser, like months in advance for this film, and it was basically all like it was a black screen, and it was something with Cartman.
Was it overly dramatic and serious?
Like, I think the music was, and then like it ended just like with some like Cartman saying something.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about here.
Okay.
They wanted to release that. They wanted to release the overly serious, ridiculous one, and Paramount was like, no, we're doing a comedy trailer. I think that actually is what Matt. Anyway, Matt Stone locked one of those two things, either a shitty Kid Rock video or a shitty comedy trailer, in his trunk of his car, and went home for the weekend. And then, like, on Saturday, he got a call from his lawyer, like, hey, did you take that print home from Paramount? And he was like, oh, yeah, it's in my trunk. And he was like, yeah, no, they're fucking out for that. Like, that's their property. You stole that.
Yeah.
So, like, he legitimately almost got arrested for stealing promotional material for his own movie.
Yeah, you don't see Seth MacFarlane doing that.
I don't think Seth MacFarlane would care.
No.
You would just Seth have a MacFarlane would be like, write up a new punchline and turn that into a joke.
Oh, the manatees. That's like a second. Yeah, I forgot all about that. See, no, let's stay off the show.
But anyway, yeah, South Park, bigger, longer, uncut. Another incredible example of Trey Parker's musician skills. Even the songs that he doesn't sing on that. Like, I had the soundtrack, and there's a version of Through the Eyes of a Child sung by some serious fucking...
It's Michael McDonald, dude.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. Michael McDonald did that.
It's a great fucking song.
Yeah. Come on. The great Michael McDonald. How are you unfamiliar?
I don't know who that is at all.
He was in, like, the Doobie Brothers. He's like a yacht rock kind of dude. I am a fan, actually. I like that kind of shit.
Well, there you go. That's how I don't know that guy. But yeah, that song in particular, brilliant. I was actually playing a video game yesterday where for one brief second in the video game, it's BioShock 2, you start playing as a little kid. And as I'm playing through a kid, everything's like bright and shiny. And instantly in my mind, I just hear through the eyes of a child.
I'm not lying. I can't lie to you, dude. I'm just over here in my head singing Michael McDonald. I keep forgetting we're not in love anymore. I keep forgetting things will never be the same again.
I have no clue what you're singing.
Oh, dude, have you ever heard Warren G Regulate?
No.
Yeah, you have, and you just don't realize it. It was like a big, I don't know, they sampled that. Who cares? But that will make a great ad for this episode. You know what, dude? Let's just turn this into a Michael McDonald tribute. Let's talk about this man's film legacy.
Well, he did a song for the South Park film. That's all that matters.
In 40-Year-Old Virgin, they were playing him in the background on repeat in the store that they worked at.
Fuck 40-Year-Old Virgin and fuck Judd Apatow.
Fuck him. Yeah, I like 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah, I'll go on record and say fuck that movie. It's too long. It's not funny. The joke's funny for about 7 minutes, and then they drag it out for 2 additional hours.
Dude, even when it came out, I remember thinking that like this movie, and I am a fan. I clearly like it more than you do. I remember thinking like this should have been like an hour and a half comedy. Like this could have been really, if this was tighter, this could have been like a really this could have been like a classic. I know a lot of people probably label it as one now. And I'm not mad at that, but it could have been much better.
So do you want to go on and tell everyone how much you love Seth Rogen's career?
I don't hate Seth Rogen. Are you talking about Jonah Hill?
Either one, in my opinion.
I don't, dude. Seth Rogen won me over. Observe and Report won me over with him.
Observe and Report was him doing the exact same shtick.
No, well, just no, it's not. You're going to say Observe and Report like tonally is in the same kind of universe as Apatow.
I'm saying what he did in it was the same. The other people in the movie were darker and did different shit. Okay. Seth Rogen is the exact same idiot.
No, but even if I don't agree, but let's say that's true. His participation in it won me over. If that's true, I disagree. I think he was good in it. I think he played. I like the way he played that role. He brought enough serious. It wasn't just a complete stoner chuckling bullshit that he had done previously. He did it well.
Who would have thought this would turn into a shocking movie confessions part 2 mid-episode?
No. I will go out on a limb. I think Observe and Report is one of the best comedies of like the past 20 years.
Wow. Would you put it above any one of Trey Parker's films?
Yes.
Wow.
I would put it above all the ones we've mentioned so far. Maybe not South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
That's blasphemy.
I would put it above Team America.
That is blasphemy.
Nah, dude, that movie's it. And that's one of those movies, I remember when I saw it, I thought, how did nobody think to do this yet? You ever watch a movie and think, like Idiocracy, I had that same thought. I was like, how did nobody come up with this concept before?
I never thought Idiocracy was all that great. I thought it was funny. There was a few funny scenes like the ass.
Dude, same thing as 4-Year-Old Virgin in a way. Idiocracy, the premise is so much better than the movie. The movie's not terrible, but the premise is one of those, like, how did nobody ever not think to do this before? Like, I think it was a genius premise. The execution is flawed. And I get it.
Done it before. Had you ever seen The Stupids? Starring Tom Arnold? It had been done before. There's been...
I don't support people who murder Vic Morrow.
I'm with you on that.
Well, there, I win. Because he made The Stupids, didn't he?
He did.
Landis.
But I'm just saying that idea had been done about.
Dude, even worse than murdering Vic Morrow. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying the plot of idiotic characters continually reproducing is not a new concept.
It was to me.
Maybe taking it to a wider scale
Yeah, and the budget did not match the scale required. And I also give that movie credit because I mean the studio really fucked him over on a lot of shit on that.
Really, my main gripe with that movie is that was a Dax
Yeah,
Shepard.
he doesn't ruin it for me, but I'm with you. He's not like a
Isn't he
selling
doing like
point.
a bad fake lisp the whole time too? Like
Shit, basically, yeah.
yeah.
But
Fuck that.
Justin Long, dude, steals the movie in his
He
scene.
doesn't, in my opinion. He was lackluster as well.
No, dude, that's like the funniest scene in the entire movie is
I
Justin Long's
disagree. For me,
doctor scene.
the funniest scene is ass because that is literally what the film going world has become.
Again, conceptually, I think that's clever. As the joke and how it's done, it's not really that funny. Justin Long, his acting in that, fuck it, I'm laughing my ass off at that.
He's just playing a surfer guy.
See, here we
All right,
go with
dude,
that.
bro, you're totally fine, man. All right, check it out, bro. I'm out. Let's take it easy later. That's what he does. It's not that funny.
All right, going back to Observe and Report, same thing. And you'll probably bring up another John Landis film to prove me wrong. No, but I watched that. And I was like, yeah, why has nobody done a comedy version of Taxi Driver? Like that just seems like an obvious thing somebody would have done. And
I mean, you've seen Combat Shock.
that's not a comedy.
That is a comedy.
Not in a literal. All right, a parody.
Someone has a wound in their arm and they pour powdered heroin into the wound. That is a fucking comedy.
Dude, I know. And you and I share similar sensibilities. You know what I'm saying though. That's not there that Combat Shock is not going for laughs like that.
I don't know.
You disagree?
I disagree.
Why my voice get all you disagree, Garth? You disagree, boy?
I think your estrogen levels are rising with your Rogan fanboy love.
Yeah, but he won me over with that. I don't love Pineapple Express, but I don't hate it.
It's like the first like
it's
8
much
minutes.
better than it's way better than Knocked Up and Superbad.
I like the first 8 minutes until it turns into an action movie. When it was just a stoner comedy, it was okay and poignant.
Clever. And I like
it turned into an action movie. It just turned into any other typical action movie starring two even less likable people than typical action movies.
Nah, I think Franco is what kind of makes that movie work. He's kind of like the heart of it.
Aren't you also a Spring Breakers fan?
I am. I think he's good in that as well.
I rest my case.
His riffraff impersonation.
I'd rather just watch like a 2-minute Vine of riffraff.
But you have to blame Corin for that. You can't blame Franco for that. So if you're gonna shit on anybody for Spring Breakers, shit on Harmony Corin, which I know you're
I shit on the Disney the Disney actresses who appeared in it because if they hadn't, no one would have paid attention.
True.
So
I mean, I would have, but you're right. Yeah,
they wouldn't have gotten mainstream attention, and then no one would care when Surfer Dude 2 came out. So.
Nobody did care when it came out.
You did.
Fuck yeah, I did. And I'll sell that movie to anyone, man.
Yeah, because it's not worth anything.
Did you hear me? I was like, I'll sell that movie to anyone, man. All right.
Yeah, because it's definitely worth selling. You shouldn't keep that trash on your.
I got the joke. God damn it. Sell the viewing experience. Sell that it is a great film.
I had to explain the joke there in case you didn't get it.
Yeah, I know. You doubled down on what I hate about modern comedy.
I was trying to think of an example of Observe and Report explaining a joke, but I haven't seen that movie in probably 2 years, so I can't think of any clear example. I just remember
it really doesn't. And even there's a scene where it's like a direct thing from Taxi Driver, and they don't fucking reference Taxi Driver. Thank God.
All I remember is the dude the other security guard that he does all the drugs with. Doesn't he also have a bad like fake lisp accent?
He does.
See, I don't like fake lisp accents, dude. I don't like bad accents in general. If you have a bad accent, if you intentionally make it difficult to understand you, I don't want to watch you in a film.
Is that a slight on my name, Garth?
What do you mean?
Rothschild. I take personal offense to that, man.
But see, I'm also the same way with like if you have like a heavy like Irish accent or some shit, it's just difficult to understand you. I'm just turning the movie off. I'll go on record and say it. If I need subtitles, I don't know, any sort of just like super thick accents where I need subtitles to decipher what is being said. No, I don't want to watch the film, and it's not worth it.
I am like that with the Irish, but not other foreign films.
The only ones I will tolerate it from is if the movie is just in a different language and the entire thing is subtitled. But if it's in English and it's just you're talking like you have a mouthful of marbles, I won't put up with it.
Yeah, I know. And it's sad. You'll never experience the greatness of Trainspotting.
I can go outside and see junkies puking into a toilet. I don't need to watch a film of British people pretending to do
it. I don't know. I don't think you'd hate it. I don't think it's a comedy, man. It's not. There's no preachy shit. It's literally just a comedy of heroin kind of movies in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like there's no shock for that. There's no message. There's no like. I don't know. It's God damn it. Choose life, Garth. Choose DUI. I wonder who the fuck you are on a Sunday morning.
Right. Well, that brings us to 2004's Team America.
Matt Damon. I thought you hated people. I thought you hated people with accents.
I could definitely make out what was being said when Matt Damon's name was repeatedly being stated over and over. It also helped that he had a little name plaque in front of him. That Trey went ahead and solved that issue before it became an issue.
I don't know if you're going to point this out, but I always love the story of how in the original script, Matt Damon actually had lines. And then when they saw the marionette, he looked like he had like Down syndrome or something. So they just changed all of his lines to Matt Damon. Isn't that correct?
I believe so. I just like how when you rewatch, you probably also do not own this on Blu-ray, correct?
I have the DVD.
This one you might want to hold on to the DVD. I did because the Blu-ray is only the rated edition. Really? I don't believe it. It might have a special feature or two, but it
that has like I said, the extended puppet fucking.
Yeah, it does not have that. That is only on the DVD. But the Blu-ray is worth picking up, or just rewatching the DVD and paying attention. All the little shit they reuse, like everyday shit, that they're just like, now it's a lamp. You know what I mean? Like just household items. Like, yeah, like if you watch like belt buckles or like quarters.
I'm sure I noticed that before, but again, with Team America, I'm going to say a decade since the last time I've seen it.
How are you going to sit there and call yourself a Trey Parker fan, sir?
For the record, I did not choose today's topic. But no, I mean I can talk about it. I do remember Team America more than I do.
Yeah, because it came out the last.
Yeah, I saw it in the theater too. And actually, I have a personal story. My girlfriend at the time, I was with her for 5 years, and we broke up after seeing Team America.
Because she didn't think it was funny.
Yes, she committed the worst sin ever. She, in the middle of Team America. Let me preface this a little bit. This is important, and she better watch out. I may actually put her real fucking name in this for Mark Turner to hear. She didn't even like.
A good lawyer, Roth.
She didn't even like South Park whatsoever. She hated it. And me and a buddy of mine, we were big South Park guys. And yeah, this movie was coming out. We were excited. It was like a cool thing, like, hey, let's go check it out. She like insisted on coming along. And, the movie's hilarious. And she's just sitting there stone-faced and miserable. Gets up in the middle of it, goes out and like smokes a cigarette and comes back in. And yeah, we broke up literally the next day.
It was a wise move on your part. You don't need that kind of negativity in your life.
You're goddamn right.
I actually saw this.
I don't get me wrong.
As well.
I was also a raging alcoholic, and she probably had a lot of issues for a lot of reasons to leave me. But nah, she crossed the line with Team America, dude. That's a really funny movie.
That it is. I saw it in theaters as well. I also saw the South Park film in theaters. I would have saw the other two in theaters if they had played in theaters and I was aware of them, but they did not.
In case she's listening, I want to apologize for cheating on her with 2 other women. But still, you walked out on Team America. Fuck that. I rescind my apology. Should have been more.
Anything else you want to get off your chest?
Everyone has AIDS.
Your brother and your doggo blue?
No, that was an actual question, dude. Is that true?
You'd have to ask Charlie Sheen about that one.
But we can't because Emilio is dead.
All right, so thanks for tuning in to this episode. We'll be back in a few days with something. We're not sure on the topic yet.
You remember what Sean Penn said about Team America?
Something about how he wishes he could still be as cool as Spicoli.
You do remember. No, he at the time Team America came out, Trey Parker and Matt Stone on a South Park episode had basically mocked the what was it, Vote or Die campaign. And Sean Penn was I don't know if you know this, Garth, but Sean Penn is a bit of a liberal, and he was very upset that they were encouraging people to not show up and vote George Bush out of office. But it's kind of funny, he didn't say anything to the press about this until Team America opened, which doesn't exactly portray him in a positive light.
Did you ever order a pizza to your classroom?
I should have. Oh, here's some shocking news. The girl I was talking about, who
she didn't like pizza either.
No, this is a shocking confessional.
I'd say not liking pizza is pretty shocking.
Get ready for this. The girl who we broke up after Team America, she actually gave me a hand job in 11th grade biology class.
Wow.
Like during class.
I guess you taught that class a bit of biology, huh?
I got Spicoli beat in that.
I think you're the one who got beat.
Walked out of Team America, though. You don't do that, Garth. Wow. If my girlfriend listens to this, she's probably going to be pissed off I'm sitting around talking about. Like I'm reminiscing about this girl I treated terribly, but she walked out of Team America.
Shout out to Rothschild's girl.
I'll probably be single after this, ladies.
Oh, you're cool, dude. You're using a pseudonym. She won't know who it is.
That's right. Thank you, Deke. I'm gonna move for some pancakes.
I think we found our next episode's topic. Top 3 cinematic pancakes.
Would Cabin Fever make your list?
There were no pancakes in it. There was just a kid wildly screaming pancakes.
False advertising.
Yeah. Can't abide by that.
I can't think of it. What are some great pancake scenes?
I
know, right?
I don't have anything either. Didn't at the start of Boogie Nights when they're making breakfast, they just show an egg and coffee, right? There's no pancakes there.
Yeah, there's like that close-up shot of both of them. Like, yeah.
Are they? I'm just gonna say they're eating pancakes. There you go.
Wow, what was up with his mom in that movie?
What,
she was
being such a cunt?
Yeah, she was mean.
Just being a cunt. You never knew any ladies who were just cunts? Weren't you just talking about a lady who walked out of Team America?
You know I have an example of that. She walked out of Team America, Garth. I want you to go on record right now, Mr. Trey Parker fan, and say you would leave your girl if she disrespected Team America.
I don't think my girl is a fan of Team America, but I'm pretty sure she probably would not walk out of it.
Garth, I read between the lines on that statement. I'm pretty sure she would not walk out. Why did Trey Parker not make any movies after Team America?
Well, following the massive headache of trying to make an entire film with puppets, he decided that it wasn't worth it, and it was much more rewarding to just smash out an episode of South Park in 6 days. So he's just stuck with that format ever since. And honestly, I mean, with what they can get away with on South Park nowadays, he really doesn't need to do another movie. Any idea he has, he can pretty much turn into an episode and get away with doing it on TV.
You know, I never thought about it that way, but is there a reason he never did another live action film after Orgasmo?
Probably just because people.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Think of all the scheduling and shit that goes into making a movie is a pain in the dick. Whereas doing South Park, you know, everyone does their animation and you sit in a booth with your buddy giggling and saying lines you wrote the night before.
Yeah.
Considerably more isolated.
I was aware of the how difficult shooting Team America was, and I knew that kind of
it was the time investment versus reward.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm sure with dealing with puppets, of course, but like live action, you know, I was always shocked that he never did. I was always expecting a Book of Mormon movie. I don't know why. They
were supposed to have like either someone shoot the stage show professionally or adapt it loosely, but I don't know what's going on with that. I heard that a while back.
Yeah, because I want to say the last bit of like news concerning Trey Parker that I remember reading was that was it a deal with Paramount? Some kind of picture deal where they're gonna either distribute stuff under a banner he's gonna create, or it was a movie deal for him as a director, and that could have completely fallen through. But this was maybe 3 years ago. I remember reading that. And I vaguely recall them referencing like Book of Mormon will most likely be one of the films.
Yeah, that's the only thing I've heard anything about.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. Well, Despicable Me 3 happened since.
Yeah, he had a kid and wanted to do a kids movie, so he was like, "Hey, I'll do this."
That's no excuse. He could show the kids South Park on mute.
He's had his kids in South Park.
Yeah, I know.
His children have been Ike over the years. His and other random people in the office.
I know. I love the way they do that with Ike's voice. It's always like they have to keep replacing the kid like around the same age range.
Have you seen the episode where he starts doing steroids and he gets a deeper voice? And it's just Matt Stone.
I remember that episode, but not well enough to what the.
Pretty sure he keeps calling Kyle a fucking pussy.
There's an interesting question. What do you think are Matt Stone's contributions, and how valuable do you view them as? Do you think Trey Parker needs him?
Yeah, he's his base. He's what he bounces everything off of.
Okay. Do you think they're creatively 50-50?
Probably. It might be more 55-45, but I think Matt prefers it that way. I think Matt's just, lazier in a sense, more laid back. He's just like, fuck, Trey wants to do all this. I'll let him.
I know. I remember like noticing that when all this, when they kind of first came out and all. It was always Trey Parker as the director. As you said, the music. It was always more. It was never. I always got the sense that Matt Stone was like just kind of like a co-writer. Like he didn't have that sort of filmmaking drive that I feel
I
like
don't
Trey
think he.
Parker
I don't think he
has.
wants to. I think he's just like, oh hey, we're both gonna get paid. Sweet, let's do it.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm not ripping on him at all. Like that's great, and they're like that chemistry I speak of. Um, hey, he's a integral
They've also talked about over the years how they've had
to
like
the recipe.
people specifically come into the office and try to drive a wedge between them, and they'll just instantly shut it down. They'll just be like, "Fuck that shit."
Yeah.
So like they're pretty dedicated to remaining a team regardless of what sort of split there actually is.
Do
But I
you
mean,
have? I was gonna ask. Do you have, for someone like myself who hasn't watched the show in at least 5 years, do you have any like specific episode that really stands out that I may have missed?
not really, because like I said, season 18 it really started to dip. I will say the beginning, I think it was a season 20, they did like a school shooting episode. That was pretty solid. It was them like going back to their shocking form. But then like midway through the season they kind of lost it a little bit, but that's also just because it was midway through a season and they were tired and burnt out because of how
Yeah.
they fucking produce it. But they started
Yeah,
that season
that's
really strong. And plus it's also like with the episode Simpsons did it, they've personally done it for 22 fucking seasons. So
of
it's getting harder, I'd imagine, to come up
course.
with concepts.
They Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they are firmly in that camp for me of you don't have to do anything else for the rest of your life. You're
Yeah.
good in my eyes. You know what I mean? If they quit doing everything tomorrow, I mean it would suck. I mean, essentially they kind of have. I mean, with like Team America is the last feature, and that's been 15 years now.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, like, but it doesn't matter. You've given me that level of quality. You're you're good.
All right,
I
so
feel that
let's
way.
let,
All right.
let's rank the films. I'll let you go first. How would you rank the four Trey Parker films? Cannibal the Musical, Orgasmo, South Park Bigger Longer Uncut, and Team America.
Which order would you like me to go in?
Go in descending or ascending, whichever.
All right, I'm gonna go from least to best. And as we have discovered through this episode, I need to revisit a few of these. But from memory, I'm gonna say Cannibal is fourth, or I should say Cannibal is technically, quote unquote, my least favorite. Then it goes Orgasmo. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. Orgasmo, then basketball.
Basketball wasn't a choice.
Okay. Orgasmo. Team America.
South Park and Team America is all that's left.
I know. I don't know which one. You know what I will say? I was so taken aback by how epic the South Park movie was, and I realized how stupid of a statement that sounds, and anybody who uses epic as an adjective is a loser. But I remember thinking that was the first time I saw Trey Parker. Like he really utilized like that. Didn't he even say he learned story structure after that movie, and the episodes got better because he could like do dual narratives and stuff like that, dual storylines.
I don't remember if it was specifically. It might have been the movie. It was
Dude, think
somewhere. It was around the movie or like the third or fourth season when they started working with different writers.
Yeah, but like, dude, that movie, think about what happens in that movie. And it's tight. It's a very tight film, but a lot goes on in scale, and it's just immensely creative.
And it doesn't take 3.5 hours, whereas a movie about people hanging out on a set took Tarantino 3 hours to do this year.
Yeah, no, that was a great movie, dude. Have you seen it?
No, it seems like he had a lot to say with it though.
Hmm. Well, let me get back to my ranking here. I don't want to. I don't want to debate Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'll let Courtney Cobb McCarthy handle that. That was, I believe, her favorite film of the year. So in reverse, least to best: Cannibal, Orgasmo, Team America, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, Observe and Report.
Wow. That's pretty shocking.
What's yours?
Mine would be Observe and Report.
No, honestly, I just went for the joke. I don't know if I don't think I'd put Observe and Report over.
I would definitely put Observe and Report under all of these. Observe and Report, taking a decent shit, maybe getting stopped and harassed by the police, getting physically assaulted.
That was a good one, man.
Maybe being stabbed.
Maybe. I haven't had that happen yet.
I would list all of those above as Observe and Report. And then, I would probably start with Team America in the 4th slot.
Wow.
Then Cannibal the Musical, then South Park Bigger, Longer, Uncut, then Orgasmo in the number 1 spot.
Wow. I wasn't expecting that.
It's not shocking that the one non-musical wins first place, even if it is Trey Parker music.
When you put it like that, no, that sounds right.
Also, Orgasmo is the one that it's not rated. I don't think Cannibal really had a rating, but I mean, it really also didn't, go for much. Orgasmo doesn't really either. It's a movie about the porn industry where they intentionally have more male nudity than female nudity.
Yeah. Trey Parker also has, we constantly refer to, in my opinion, that kind of John Waters-esque. Like, Orgasmo is not sexy in any way to me, or it's not controversial to me in any way. It's almost a warm movie, you know what I mean? And part of that has to do probably with that sort of color palette, whatever. But like, I don't get like the. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I think it's just because you get Mormon vibes off of them.
That probably is, yeah. It is. It's like a kind, like, you know what I mean? Like, even, well, then again, they do go hard sometimes. But in Orgasmo, where there's no kind of direct target, like, they clearly respect Mormons, honestly. I feel that.
They've kind of earned the Mormons' respect because they did so much research on ripping on them on different things.
Yeah,
like Orgasmo, and then certain episodes that then they went so deep into it that then when the Mormons heard it, they were like, "Oh shit, you know about that? Oh fuck, you know about that too?"
Like, for instance, I don't think, I mean, South Park or Trey Parker or whoever, they don't necessarily. I mean, they're notorious for ripping on everything. But there's clearly more of an anger, I would say, or clearly more of a critique on Scientology in certain episodes than there is towards, like, Mormonism. You know what I mean?
I mean, it could also just be the practices of Mormons are less, threatening than that of Scientologists. They don't get lawsuits thrown against them from the Mormons, and there's not supposed prison camps in the Mormon field and all that.
True, but outside of the practice, just the general idea, they're both equally ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I always think that's funny when a lot of people make fun of Scientology and then they're Christians. Like, to me, I get it. One's newer, so you can point out, that wasn't with you your entire life, so it seems foreign. It's easier to mock, but they're both ridiculous to me.
The newer one also seems more ridiculous because it was invented after modern science.
Sure, but it's still dumb. I'm not giving Christianity or anything like that any bonus points, especially for the people who continue to follow it. Fuck, dude, I'm getting controversial. Let's get off this one.
Tell me again how much you loved The Exorcist and why.
it's done well. Just because I don't believe in it doesn't mean. I mean, it works for me. I don't watch The Exorcist as a documentary. It's fictional storytelling, but I think it's more effective fictional storytelling when some of the participants believe in their fairy tale.
Well, I will end the episode on a positive note by saying this. I will put Observe and Report firmly above The Exorcist.
Oh, wow. You and every other critic, Garth. How many Oscars did Observe and Report take home that year?
I don't know anyone named Oscar.
Just end it there. Put me out of my misery. So we're still recording, folks. Garth, would you like to ask me anything else that'll potentially offend, Mark, our audience? Mark.
Rank every Cheech and Chong movie in descending order like you did with these, or ascending, whichever, including the shit ones like Things Are Tough All Over, Corsican Brothers.
I was about to say, I'm only going to
Stay Out of My
Room. I'm only going to list 3.
You gotta do them all. You gotta do them all. You gotta include.
I'll forget
Corsican Brothers.
Things Are Tough All Over, Corsican, Get Out of My Room. Do I have to include like the solo, like Far Out Man and all that?
Include Far Out Man and East LA, and that's it.
All right. Well, they're solo. Both. Well, no, Corsican Brothers is fucking terrible. Damn. Outside of I'll tell you right now, the top 3 is Next Movie, then Nice Dreams, then Up in Smoke. After that, probably Things Are Tough All Over.
As Dead last?
What do you mean?
Oh, no.
After Next Movie. Unless I'm forgetting something. That's all they have, right? So
Things Are Tough All Over would be number 4 then.
Yes, if Corsican Brothers, if they've only done 5 movies, and if I'm forgetting something, or if I'm not forgetting anything.
Are you leaving the solo movies off?
No. Okay. Yeah. But just those are 5, right? Just those 5, Cheech and Chong, and then the solo one, 7 total.
And also Stay Out of My Room. So Get Out of My Room.
That's whatever. Like a music video, man.
It counts. It got its own release.
On video, it didn't get a theatrical release.
It got a video release. It was Cheech and Chong's Get Out of My Room or whatever. It got a release. Count it.
I guess technically, did Far Out Man get a theatrical release? I don't even remember that.
It didn't.
Yeah. Born in East LA did. All right. Well, yeah. So I stand by that. Up in Smoke, number 1. Nice Dreams, number 2. Next Movie, number 3. After this, it's almost interchangeable, but Things Are Tough All Over, I'll go with for 4. Again, Far Out Man. Born in East LA may get the edge.
We're forgetting about Still Smoking.
Oh, shit. Still Smoking's 4. Still Smoking's better than Things Are Tough All Over. Still Smoking's 4. Things Are Tough All Over, 5. I guess Born in East LA, then Far Out Man, then Corsican Brothers. Oh, well, Get Out of My Room. Put that as before the solo ones. What's yours like?
Well,
yeah, dude, we totally forgot Still Smoking.
Up in Smoke. Probably Next Movie.
I will say, Next Movie may have funnier parts than Nice Dreams has, but I just think Nice Dreams works better as a movie than Next Movie does.
Actually, wait. Which one was it that had Jimi Hendrix?
It's no, that's
Nice Dreams,
isn't it?
I don't remember. They both have Pee Wee Herman, and that's what throws me off.
Well, the Asylum Pee Wee Herman thing, that's Next Movie.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. What does he say? I'm not gonna take the money, or what is he? He's like repeating something.
I don't remember, but yeah, Nice Dreams then, because Jimi Hendrix, Excuse Me While I Kiss This Fly.
Yeah.
Takes
Because that's when Chong's playing like electric guitar a lot, like in the beginning of it and all that.
Yeah. So that, then next movie, then Still Smoking.
Damn, we're the same so far.
Then, man, then it does get difficult.
It's kind of I'm completely I don't care after that. Like they're all.
I would put Corsican Brothers above either one of the solo movies, and
was that just because of Python?
Well, just because it was I don't know, it had something going on in it. Things Are Tough All Over has almost nothing going on.
Isn't there like no weed references in Corsican Brothers? And it's like,
everyone thinks that, but there is one brief. I believe it's Chong. One of them is in a fucking, like in a cabin near the beginning, and they hit a pipe. They don't make reference that it's weed.
Dude,
they don't act stoned, but they do hit a pipe.
All people should be offended by that. This is Cheech and Chong without weed.
Well, yeah, like, but when they started out, they weren't a weed thing. It's just that's the one gimmick they got stuck in.
I know, but come on, name another act in anything that is more synonymous with marijuana than Cheech and Chong in comedy, at least. Well,
yeah, they wanted to try to get away from that for a brief minute, then they realized they could never do it.
But you complain about that, don't you? Don't you say, isn't that your gripe with Cheech? How he tried to run away from it for so long and like.
He tried to get away from comedy in general and try to be a legitimate actor and try to get like awards. And it's like, no, dude, you're that dude who ran to Canada and draft dodged and met another guy doing fucking improv in a titty bar. Get out there and do some fucking comedy.
So it's just, so it's literally, and actually this is interesting. Would you say you respect them more? Maybe not more, but it sounds like you have more of a respect for them as far as comedians, rather than just like the comedians and marijuana. I'm sure that helps. Don't get me wrong.
No, yeah, they definitely get points for just being comedians.
Yeah, I was about to say, it sounds like,
because I mean, if we're gonna start going in judging every comedian on what fucking drugs they're on or supposedly on, then you're gonna have like 18 different categories for comedians.
That's a little different though, because Mitch Hedberg wasn't making movies about heroin. You know what I mean? Like,
he didn't make any fucking movies.
I know, but
tried to make one.
Chris Farley, Tommy Boy wasn't about, out of control, alcoholic, cocaine, whatever the fuck he was doing. You know what I mean?
Or was that Black Sheep? One of them, he's sitting there fucking chugging beers and doing bong rips upside down and shit.
Frat boy shit. That's not what killed Chris Farley. This man was speedballing. You know what I mean? Like that, he's not synonymous. His movies aren't synonymous with his lifestyle. Or I'd argue,
being an overweight idiot who partied to excess. That is literally what killed him. That was literally his character.
But the specific drug of choice, it was never showcased. Whereas Cheech and Chong, it's pretty much always a specific drug of choice that they're associated. You know what I mean?
Not true. They do space coke. They do acid. I was about to say, they do a lot of different shit.
Motherfucker, I knew you were going to say that. That's why I said mostly a specific drug of choice. I mean, come on, it's weed, man. I mean, that's what they're. If you took a random poll of people and
took a random poll of people on their favorite scene of Up in Smoke, a good, I would say 30% would say the chick snorting Ajax. So they are not fully synonymous with just marijuana use, sir.
Let's take a poll on this. I want to see. I want to see how many people even remember that woman snorting Ajax and Tom Skerritt and all that shit. I'd argue when people think of Up in Smoke, they think of the opening scenes, just the literal plot of the van leaking weed. You know what I mean? I don't know. You think that Ajax scene is that legendary or that?
Yes.
What?
They used to use it as a fucking bumper on Comedy Central when they would air it, dude. It would be like, "Welcome back to Up in Smoke," and they would show her doing the fucking elephant arm thing, the trunk,
Yeah,
it's a pretty big moment.
Do you personally consider that a big moment in Up in Smoke?
I mean, it's funny, yeah. It's pretty memorable.
That is a great comedy.
Exactly.
Even when we were talking about it before, and when I said the opening scene, and I was referencing, when he picks him up and all that, and I totally forgot when you're right, like when Chong's waking up and his parents, and the fact that like how old he looks. And the way they're just shouting at him and shit, like that really is funny. Like I forgot about that.
And I can go on record and say you do not need to be stoned to
No.
enjoy the humor in it, because when I first saw Up in Smoke, I was 8 years old and I laughed my fucking ass off. That's also probably why I associate them more with just comedy as opposed to just being stoned. Because yeah, they're stoned, but they're also really funny. And that was kind of my point about dissecting comedians for what they're on. Because yeah, a lot of comedians are stoned, but then they're also generally funny or not.
We should totally edit this and make this an episode about comedians, because this is getting good. No, I agree. And I'm not saying Cheech and Chong had to rely on it. I'm just going on. I mean, that's part of the thing. It's like Cypress Hill. You know what I mean? Cypress Hill is very good at what they do. Their production is fucking incredible, even for that time, and it's aged beautifully and all that.
One thing I've never understood about Cypress Hill, and I've actually heard him describe it in an interview, but I still don't get it. Why the fuck does Be Real rap with that voice? Why do I gotta sound like this, kid? It's because it's distinctive and it stands apart. I know, but goddamn.
Well, no, it wasn't. They didn't intend it. He did it as he originally when they started off sang like in how he or rapped the way he talks, which would have been just monotone, normal guy shit. They were doing a song that was like in the style of Slick Rick, like a storytelling type song. It never got released, or maybe it did, and I don't even know what it is. But he kind of did that Slick Rick inflection of like the higher, more nasal stuff. And they realized that like the way Muggs produced their beats, which were always these bass heavy, kind of dark beats, mixed with that higher octave of his voice, like it just had a balance to it. And it does. I mean, but that's how it started, technically.
And that would have been a good gimmick that he should have dropped.
What's that?
That fucking voice.
No, are you kidding me? That's what makes it. It's that blend of, like I said, it's Muggs production with that voice. That's what makes it what it is, man. If you take that voice out, there's millions, or not millions, but there's plenty of other like early mid 90s hip hop stuff that sounds just like what you're asking for. If you just don't want that voice.
I just don't want any of it.
But back to Cheech and Chong, and my initial point was Cypress Hill. Again, you could find many merits in them as musicians or as artists in hip hop or whatever, but let's face it, the connotation with them will always be marijuana. And
it didn't help Cheech when they published didn't they put out like a 10 Commandments of weed in one of their booklets?
I don't fucking know. Maybe.
I remember reading it in like 7th grade, and then I would go around telling all my fucking teachers like, hey, the Declaration of Independence is written on hemp paper, fuck you.
But again, I mean, that's what Cheech and Chong does too. It's like, it doesn't help that you're making movies that are heavily about marijuana. You know what I mean? I'm not saying
what are we trying to talk about helping here? It's not like it hurt them in any way.
No.
Other than years later when Chong got raided for selling bongs.
Yeah, which I don't care what side of any debate you're on. That was ridiculous on so many levels.
Oh, they sent an FBI guy undercover to sell the bong
raid on this old man. You know what I mean? Who's selling pipes on the internet?
Are there any drugs in the house? Yeah, in what room? All of them.
Exactly. You're raiding Tommy Chong. Like, come the fuck on. Like that whole thing was like, let's make an example. Let's, it was ridiculous. But yeah,
he actually ended up enjoying his time in prison. He took it as like a meditative. But he took it as like a meditative, like reflective period and shit, and a while to sober up and lower his tolerance.
He's a great. I was about to say he's a great guy. Like, I know him.
He said when he first went in, like day one, he walked up and they were like, some guy was like, "What do you want?" and offered him like any drug, and he was just like, "Nah, man, I'm gonna play it straight."
That's cool, man. Again, kind of like what I said about if Trey Parker and Matt Stone quit, Cheech and Chong, same thing. You gave me Up in Smoke. Like,
they basically did quit, and then did you see when they got back together? Did you see that we're back together? Whatever video.
Don't they still tour or something now? I
don't know if they're still doing it, but they were like up to at least 2 years ago. But all they're doing is their old bits, which you've seen in all the movies. So like, if you want to see that opening scene of him picking Chong up as a 65-year-old man, like, you can see it.
You know what though? I'm not even mad at them for that. They earned it.
Yeah,
I'm
just
with you.
saying,
I wouldn't
I'm just saying, don't run out and buy that.
Yeah,
They
no,
released
no.
a Blu-ray of it.
Oh, you watched it? I didn't know that. I thought you were.
No, I actually watched it. Like, are they going to do anything new? And it's just literally that, and then except they're kind of, they're diva-ish about it. Like they have Chong's wife come out and she does like a bit of stand-up, like, oh, my husband Tommy Chong, her dumb fucking blonde gimmick.
Yeah.
Then Chong comes out and he tells his little bit about the bongs, and then Cheech comes out, and then they work together for like 2/3 of the show. So it's like Cheech wouldn't even show up for the whole show because he's too much of a fucking Hollywood dickhead, basically. So basically, the tour video just kind of left me feeling even more sad for Chong, because it's like, come on, dude, your boy just went through some shit, Cheech.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could argue him just showing up is that, because clearly Cheech's heart is not in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could say just him reuniting and doing that is sort of like a show of solidarity or whatever for his friend, you know? You can't, I mean, come on, you can't, especially when you're that old. You can't, I'm not going to force this old man. Get out there and be enthusiastic, like you were in the 70s about weed, fucker,
I think he does do Earake My Eye, though. So if you wanted to see a 65-year-old Cheech in a tutu dancing around,
yeah, that was
I could be wrong on that.
He
but
actually
I think,
gets in the fucking tutu.
I think he might. I could be wrong, but I know he gets in the Pedro Lapaca outfit, and like the suspenders are all loose on him and shit.
Yeah, I mean that's an old man can pull that off. Just put on a fucking knit hat, and I could walk down the street right now and probably find somebody who looks like Pedro.
I think he's still wearing the belly shirt too, with his gut hanging out. Yeah. I could be wrong on that,
dude. Even the costume choice, even like they're iconic. Like, just I know exactly what you're describing: the yellow fucking belly shirt, the reddish knit hat, the suspenders, fucking Chong and the blue. Like it's just iconic. Up in Smoke, you're right. You don't have to be high to watch it. It's an iconic comedy. It's just
what line always gets me in Up in Smoke?
What's that?
When they're in the courtroom and Chong's fucking tripping out because he ate everything. Man. Yeah. Fucking vodka. That line's fucking great.
It is, man. That's a comedy classic. I do believe Up in Smoke, if I had to make like a top 10 comedies, I easily top 20, but I think it may even make like top 10 regardless of Cheech and Chong, just comedies in general.
Wow.
It's that strong, and as we've discussed before, nostalgia is a motherfucker. I grew up, I saw that a lot as a kid, and like you, I didn't smoke weed yet. I wasn't 8 when I saw it, but I was 10, I want to say. I understood, and that's another thing too that I want to point out. We were both like 8 years old, 10 years old. We weren't smoking weed at that time. There's just something about their antics that are very innocent and silly in a way that I think even for kids, I'm not suggesting kids should run out, like fucking 6-year-olds should run out and watch Up and Smoke. But I mean,
honestly, it's more tasteful than half of the shit these kids are watching on YouTube.
Yeah, nowadays. You know what I mean? There's that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, and there's
Marvel movies and
and kind of
Harry
like
Potter movies and
shit. Bringing it back to Orgasmo. There's something maybe I am just blinded by nostalgia. There is something that is almost wholesome about Up in Smoke to me, like, and about just them two together. It's like a magic thing. I don't know. They are, dude. They're I like how you pointed that out, that maybe as comedians, fuck the marijuana stuff. Just as genius comedians, they probably don't get their due.
No.
I mean, you're right. They were around, was it late 60s or was it early 70s?
Because that was first record came out in the like 73 or something.
Okay. Because I know you kind of alluded to this earlier, but wasn't the story, like you said, they dodged the draft, and then it was in Canada. Yeah, Cheech did, because it was in Canada where they met, right?
Yeah, Chong was running the first strip club in Toronto at the time. And then at night he would do like improv sets where there would just be like topless dancers and then people doing like improv skits with him and shit.
Well, Chong had already done the Like he'd already been a successful. What band was he in?
I forget the band's name.
Yeah, I forget the name too. But
it was like an old school doo-wop band or some shit.
Yeah,
like doo-wop rock shit.
I got excited there for a second, and then I realized I was completely wrong.
It was someone's name, like Bobby something, and the Teutonics or some bullshit. I forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cheech should literally. He went up there and like burned his draft card and was doing improv with them, and then they stumbled upon those two characters one night and ran into the ground.
What got Robert Rodriguez to get Cheech out of his bullshit?
What do you mean? From Dusk Till Dawn?
Well, yeah, like Desperado from Dusk Till Dawn.
That was him trying to get a Hollywood career. He's like this hot new Hollywood director is making movies with heavily, Latin American fucking actors and shit. I went in on it.
Fair enough.
Desperado was the first like widely distributed in America movie with all Mexican or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Latin lead actors, yeah.
Spanish.
It was like a big cultural moment and shit. Desperado is a great film. Anyone that says the 90s was shit is an idiot. You got classics like Desperado. You got basically all of Trey Parker's hits with the exception of Team America.
Depends on what you mean. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you say any decade for anything is complete shit. You could pick out the worst of any decade. You're going to find it. You know what I mean? In some decades, it seems like whatever was sort of trending culturally to where some of these got pushed to the mainstream more is a factor. And I'd actually argue the 90s, that was its benefit, especially in the first half, was that there was that little sort of indie boom. You know what I mean? That sort of it was like all at once. You had like Linklater, Tarantino, Rodriguez, Smith. I mean, even Spike Lee was kind of just starting to hit. I mean, you had that nice sort of it actually got to the mainstream. That really hadn't happened since the 70s. I'd say the 80s, nothing like that happened. You know what I mean? I don't recall any like indie movement into the mainstream that occurred in the 1980s. Unless it was like a one-off, New Line struck gold with Elm Street, you know what I mean? Type deal. Not as far as filmmakers.
Yeah, maybe like individuals, like actors or special effects guys or something.
Exactly. I'm talking, you know what I mean? I'm talking about like there it was, like all those guys and all like I just named, there was no sort of boom like that. I'll give the 90s credit on that. But yeah, I mean, just writing it off as complete shit is ridiculous. And everyone has their own preferences, and let's face it, also your age is going to come into consideration. You know what I mean?
I think regardless of your opinion on the 70s, 80s, or 90s, you can agree that they all produced better films than today.
Easily.
Overall on the margin.
I'm not gonna lie. We're gonna get dark. I feel like it's dead in a way. I shouldn't say I don't feel like movies or films are dead, but I feel like I hate to get in that Scorsese shit, but I think he's right. I think they're amusement rides now. I think going to the theater has become more of an event than it ever has been. Like years ago, people would just like, hey, let's go see a movie. It's only a couple bucks, and take chances. Now, when people go to the movies, it has to be like this. Oh God, there's 15 movies leading up into it, and I can't be the one without an opinion on it, so I have to see it opening night. It's all blatant product.
But really, you could go back and blame all of that on Spielberg with Jaws, the event film.
You can. Or Star Wars. I would say, and both of them neither were half as big as they were imagined to be. You know what I mean? Jaws was looked at before it came out. I mean, the history, what went on during the production of Jaws, like everything that could go wrong went wrong. nobody was expecting that to be what it was and what it is. I mean, that's a huge movie. Same thing with Star Wars. Nobody was expecting that to be. Lucas wasn't expecting that to be what it was. You know what I mean? But yeah, I agree with you. It started with those. I mean, back in those days, in the Jaws days, The Godfather and Exorcist were seen as blockbusters. They were considered blockbusters. Could you imagine either one of those movies today coming out and being considered blockbusters?
I'm shocked they were then.
I know, but they were. They were, like, in particular, like, those books. That was back when people fucking read. And you know what I mean? Like,
people
seriously,
read now. It's just now they only read shit like Harry Potter and Twilight.
Exactly. So, like, when The Godfather got made, that book was such a big deal. It was a huge book that, like, that was
rush out to get whatever Stephen King movie's being remade this week. The newest printing of it.
Did you see? I didn't read any articles, but I saw a headline that Dr. Sleep bombed.
Nah, I didn't hear anything about it.
That makes me happy.
I tried to avoid it like you did, but that's just how I am on movies in general. Unless I specifically have an agenda against it like you.
Unless I'm doing a podcast, I try to avoid movies in general.
Try to avoid news about new ones because, like you were saying, I don't really feel I don't feel it's so much dead. It's just it's all assembly line movies or movies by committee.
And I didn't finish that thought. Not necessarily like the movie. I said not necessarily movies or films themselves are dead, but I feel like
there's no creative passion in them.
Well, what it is, what the landscape, what movies are going to be, where we're heading with it. It's just not what it was. And I'm not one of those people who, oh my God, but fuck it. If it dies, it dies. I'm all about evolution. And whenever I say that to people who are big cinephiles and they get upset, if I watched a movie from now until the day I die, I wouldn't, and if movies ended tomorrow, I wouldn't get through the 1980s. You know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of stuff to go back to that is overlooked or I've missed. I'm not, just like you said, avoid it. Fuck it. I don't have to see Dr. Sleep to have an opinion on it. There's plenty of other movies that I have more faith in being actually good that I have missed over the years, that if I'm going to sit down and watch a movie, I'll go with one of those,
Postal.
Yes. The great Postal.
I think if we ever do a movie, like a full form movie analysis like we had planned to before, Postal might be the movie to do it with.
It depends on what we do with it.
What do you mean what we do with it?
Like, it would depend on like I'd have to see it first. Like, what if I watch it and I don't care? You know what I mean?
There's our episode. You tell me why you didn't care and I tell you why you're wrong.
Gotcha.
And if you watch it and you agree that it's brilliant, there's our episode. We go on and we blow Uwe Boll.
Makes sense.
And if you watch it and you have mixed feelings about it, see example 1.
Can we call this what this really is?
What?
You just trying to get me to watch Postal and spread the word on this film.
I would say Postal is much more deserving of a watch than Dr. Sleep, The Godfather, The Exorcist, Observe and Report, or whatever that one you were talking about for a while was.
Which one was that?
I don't know.
And you notice I intentionally stayed quiet. I'm going to take that as the trailer for this podcast. Postal was better than The Exorcist, The Godfather. Come on. Gotta love Dave Foley. Bringing it back, sketch comedy shows, Kids in the Hall is pretty solid from beginning to end.
I'll take your word on it. I got all the Dave Foley I need out of Postal.
Yeah, literally. Kids in the Hall are hard to recommend anyway. And I'm sure you're familiar with them and just don't like it.
I mean, I grew up watching it, but I just don't care enough to revisit it.
It's
that same sketch formula.
Yeah, but it's better. I grew up on it too, and when I watch it as an adult, it's there's so much stuff that went over my head with that show that It's really clever. I give them credit. They were ahead of their time. That style of comedy they did was very. That's like all Adult Swim was and became.
Did
You
you
know
ever
what I
see
mean?
that show, The Whitest Kids You Know?
I never watched it, but it was on IFC. I
It
was aware
reminded me
of
a
it.
lot of Kids in the Hall, but it felt like other. I don't even know if they were Canadian, but they felt Canadian. It felt like other Canadians trying to be Kids in the Hall.
Kids in the Hall are Canadian.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm saying I don't know if The
Oh,
Whitest Kids You Know were.
I
It felt
just
like they were also trying to be Kids in the Hall. If they weren't Canadian, then it was
yeah.
just them appropriating that Canadian feeling.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They were ahead of that. They were ahead of their time. I think one thing, and I would argue this kind of hurts comedy, and this happened in this century more so. It's that sort of postmodern, like Bill Murray, like irony. You know what I mean? Where you're like, you don't really say anything. It's more. What the fuck am I trying to say here?
Are you talking about like Wes Anderson comedies?
Yes, like it's in Kids in the Hall. Like I feel like they were ahead of their time with that, with absurdist humor in a way that's not as pointed. You know what I mean? I don't know. Fuck it. I'm losing my train of thought already.
Real
I know
quick,
what
are
I'm.
you a fan of that Wes Anderson fella?
No,
You think he's an overrated hack like I do?
you have I ever mentioned him? You ever notice I don't ever talk about him?
I've only actually attempted, I think, maybe 3 of his movies. He did the fish one with Murray, Steve, whatever.
I actually like that.
He
That's the
did.
one I like.
He did. I didn't watch much of it.
Wait, no, no,
He
no. Oh, go ahead. I'll let you.
he did the Royal Tenenbaums, right?
Yes.
Shit. That movie made me hate Hackman. And not like I was a big Hackman fan before that, let's be
I
honest.
felt I felt like you went to light your joint after dropping Royal Tenenbaums, like I was gonna get angry and defend it.
No, it just did went out.
uh,
But I don't even remember. Maybe I have only attempted those 2. There's probably a third one that he made somewhere in there that I've attempted.
it's probably Rushmore.
No, that had that Schwartzman kid, right?
Yeah.
Ooh,
I mean,
fuck him.
those 3 are kind of like the ones most people are. I'd say
Yeah, if
most
that
people.
kid is the star, I'm not getting anywhere near it. I don't like that kid at all. I would watch an Owen Wilson marathon for 2 days straight.
Well, that would include Wes Anderson.
Well, I would watch that over anything with the Schwartzman kid.
I think Owen Wilson's in. Is he in everything? I'm sure now, probably not, but there for a while, Owen Wilson was in everything he did.
Remember when he tried to kill himself and then he came out with that comedy and no one saw it because he had literally tried to kill himself like the weekend before it opened?
Yeah, and it was around Halloween. I went as him as Halloween that year. It was one of those. It was one of those lazy, like I had no costume, so I just put like red dye on a bandage, put it around my wrists, and told everyone I was Owen Wilson.
You didn't get a giant fucking like bird beak. Because that would have made it. You wouldn't
Wow!
have had to set anything. You could have just had that in the wrists.
Wow! No, my thoughts. I'm not Wes Anderson. I'm not. I don't like passionately hate him. I'm not a fan though.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I passionately hate him,
He's
but
over. He's over.
the bit I've seen of him, yeah, it's
It's the
just
same movie.
garbage.
It's the same thing over and over again. It's the same. Uh, God damn it! He even started doing stop motion animation, and it's the same thing. I don't know how you pulled that off. It's like the same thing as like Rushmore and all that. I don't. And I know people get pissed off. I think that's more of with Wes Anderson, is that I don't care as much to get in an argument about it, so I kind of just leave him alone because I know a lot of people will defend him. And
Hopefully
I
in the comments section
yeah,
below.
hopefully in the comments section. But to me, there's bigger fish to fry. He's not. I'm
Well, I
just
mean,
not.
as
Yeah.
this has devolved into a comedy episode, I figured it was only right we bring his shit up because it is widely regarded by a lot of film snobs as being,
Dude, I'm
high
dead
art in the
serious.
comedy field.
I'm serious. You want to keep going on comedy, specifically '90s comedy, and just cut that Trey Parker shit out?
No, I say we should probably wrap this up and give a shout out to Mr. Pancake Turner for making it this far. He's gonna have a stroke when he sees we have a nearly 2-hour episode.
Are you serious? Holy shit, dude. Yeah, what am I talking about?
So,
adios, los.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, people. If you made it this far, wait a couple days. We'll probably be back with some more.
Yes, by the time we promote this one, the next one will be recorded.
Be sure to drop a comment and give us some suggestions for topics that we'll likely ignore or ridicule on there.
I'm going to throw something out there. Give a suggestion for a movie you think Garth would like. We've heard his stance on The Exorcist, The Godfather, pretty much every movie. I want to see. I want somebody to accept that challenge, throw down the gauntlet, and give us a film that is worthy of Garth's time. Oh, Garth, who the fuck is that? Deke. I mean, I'm sorry. I confused all the listeners, dude. We know what Deke thinks. I'm sorry. Garth is some other dick.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
You got
Emilio is dead.